Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about something huge, love, but probably not in the way you're used to thinking about it. We're diving into the work of Dr. Michael Lukens and his really fascinating theory, the physics of emotioning. It's a whole new way of looking at what drives us, and it all centers on a radical reframing of love itself.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at why the word love is kind of broken. Then, we'll get into Dr. Lukens' new definition. We'll also talk about what he says is love's true enemy, how this all works inside our own heads, and finally, how we can actually use this idea as a tool to make things better.
All right, first up, the weedy garden. Let's start with the problem that I think we all kind of feel, right? The word love, it's just lost its punch. And in that empty space, something not so great is starting to take root.
Yeah, that classic line. It feels more urgent today than ever, doesn't it? But what does that even mean? Especially when it feels like conflict and division are winning everywhere you look. It's a beautiful thought for sure, but is it actually useful?
So you have this ideal, right? Love, this amazing, unifying force for connection. But Dr. Lukens points to the reality, and it's a tough one. He says that what's actually winning, what's spreading like wildfire, is contempt. And it's this corrosive thing that's poisoning everything, from our personal relationships all the way up to global politics.
So why is this happening? Well, to explain this decay, Dr. Lukens uses this really powerful metaphor. He wants us to picture our understanding of love not as some static, dusty old concept, but as a living, breathing garden.
And this gets right to the heart of the problem. Without constant care and, really thinking about what love means, it just gets overgrown with all these weeds, cliches, sentimental nonsense, and pretty soon, the actual beauty and value of the garden is just gone.
Okay, so how do we fix this? How do we start tending this garden? Well, according to Dr. Lukens, it's not enough to just pull the weeds. We need to plant something new, something strong in their place, a definition of love that's actually clear, precise, and powerful.
Right. So, if the old idea of love has become this messy, weedy thing, what's the answer? Dr. Lukens argues that if we want love to be a real force for good, we can't rely on vague feelings. We need something more concrete, something more scientific, and above all, something that's actually useful.
And what he comes up with is this: Committed Benevolent Interest, or CBI for short. Now, you got to get this part because it's absolutely crucial. This is not a feeling. We're not talking about romance or that warm, fuzzy sensation. Think of it more like a fundamental drive, energy, almost like an operating system that's running in the background, shaping how we handle all our other emotions and desires.
And to really drive home how basic this is, he says love is a fundament, just like breathing is a fundament. It's not some optional feature or a nice bonus, no. He's saying it's a non-negotiable, essential part of our cognitive and moral makeup. It's at the very core of who we are.
Okay, so now that we have this new, super clear definition, we can finally get a good look at what it's up against. What's the real enemy here? And you might think it's hate, but according to Lukens, it's actually something way more insidious.
And this just lays it out so perfectly. On one side, you have committed benevolent interest. And check this out. He says this is our default state. It accepts for no reason at all. But on the other side, you have contempt. And this is totally different. It rejects for a reason. It's an active choice to invalidate someone's very being, a conscious decision to say, you are worthless. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. This is backed up by some serious science. The renowned researchers, the Gottmans, spent decades studying couples. And what did they find? Contempt. That specific mix of anger and disgust is the single biggest predictor that a relationship will fail. It's the ultimate relationship killer.
I love this quote from Lukens because it just nails the difference. I love you because I love, and you're here, but I reject you for a reason. You see, love is just a state of being. It's a given. But contempt, that's an action. That's a judgment call. It's the thing that actively tears connections apart.
So you might be wondering, how does this drive energy actually work? Like inside our own heads, especially when things get heated, when we're angry or scared?
Well, Dr. Lukens gives this really vivid example. So, step 1, the impulse. Picture a moment of what he calls lizard rage, that raw, reactive anger where you just want to lash out. Then step 2, the interruption. Love, or CBI, steps in. It's this force that's trying to break that circuit before you act. And then step 3, the evidence. Let's say you do act on that impulse. that feeling of guilt that hits you afterward, that's the proof. That's the undeniable evidence that love was in there, fighting to stop you.
So really, what he's saying is that love is like this internal guide. It's a thing that helps us figure out where we need to go, and maybe even more importantly, where we absolutely won't go. It draws the line. It's our moral compass.
And this all leads to the big payoff. Because CBI isn't just some fancy definition for a textbook. It's a tool, a practical, hands-on instrument that we can actually use to create change.
So what can we do with this tool? Well, we can use it for self-analysis, to really dig into our own motivations. We can use it for relational analysis, to better understand our relationships with other people. It's a framework for self-correction. And if we scale it up, it can even be a tool for collective self-correction, for society.
And you can see from this quote, he is dead serious about this. I'm not inventing love. I'm inventing a definition that serves as a much more useful tool. He sees this as way more than just an interesting idea. For him, it's a tool that's, well, he says it's required if we're going to save ourselves. The stakes are incredibly high.
So this whole framework, it's a challenge really. It challenges all of us to get past the flowery, vague ideas about love, to stop seeing it as this passive feeling that just happens to us and start seeing it for what it could be, the most powerful, practical tool we have to build a better world. And that leaves us with one heck of a question, doesn't it? If love is a tool, are we using it correctly?